our property in Ray County, and we have lost water. We have a well, and I've done tested it, and the pump is bad. So we are going to be pulling this out of the ground, estimated to be 120 feet in the ground. And it's going to be a fun job, and all the pieces and parts that we use, we will try to leave a link in the description for all the parts and pieces used, pump, tank, everything that we use. We'll leave links in the description. If you need the same thing, then there you go. Make it easy for you to find them. Let's get started on this thing. Got our well pump pulled, 100 feet long. Got the concrete slab repaired. It was broken into pieces. There's some of the pieces. I put some of the pieces underneath there and used them as a filler. But it's a lot better. The tank sits right back there on that. And of course the well pump goes under that brick. Pump will be here today, and we'll probably be putting that in. All right, here's the old tank. It's a 20-gallon LPT 120, or yeah, LPT 20. The bottom of it's about to rust out around the outlet. When we were taking the 90-degree off of it, it was bending and stuff right in here. It was real weak, so we replaced it with this tank right here, 36-gallon. I got it out here on the floor. It already comes with a 90-degree galvanized 90, so all you need, you're to buy a new one of these, or if the old one's in pretty good shape, you can reuse it. This piece is not cheap, 50, 60 bucks. So we're gonna reuse this one and install it in this tank and get the pressure switch and the pressure gauge. And this was a spigot, but it was so close to the ground you could hardly get your hose on it. So where I built that well house back in January, whenever we got that cold, I built a well house around it because it was froze. And we're gonna run that spigot part out of the well house and put a spigot on the outside of the well house. so we have easier access to it. Looks pretty straight. Now we can get our pressure switch and our gauges and all that on there. Before, the pressure switch was on this side and the gauge was on this side. Well, when it was like that, the pressure switch was so big you couldn't see the gauge from the ankle. So I'm going to swap them and put the gauge on this side, aimed a little bit angled that way, and then put the pressure switch right here. Thought I was going to run into that. Did not have a closed nipple. All they had was a 1.5. Ooh, I made it. Don't tighten this real tight with your hand with this. Break the cover. There's a hex underneath there to tighten it with. This will be our last turn right here. I believe. Just like that, we get our pressure gauge. The old pressure gauge was stuck on like 50. It wouldn't even move. Same thing on the bottom of the gauge. There's a place to put your tool. You can tighten it so tight with your hand, but once it starts to get pretty tight, you'll break the gauge. Probably leave that straight for now, but when it comes time to tank placement, I'll probably turn it, aim it towards the door of the well house so we can see it. Make sure you put this on the right way. That's in, water in, and this is out. You can tell that by inside of it. The side that you can push it in goes towards the well. Part is done. Got the male adapter glued on, ready for the pump. The wiring seems to be okay. The wiring that they want to sell you is a whole lot less coated. The coating on it is a lot thinner than that. And I just assume leave this wire on there because it looks like it's made better than what you can buy today. Concrete is taking a while to set. You can see it starting to set right back there, but it's still wet. It must be it's kind of cool out here. It's supposed to be pretty sunny today, about somewhere around 60 degrees. Maybe it'll carry on up by the time we get this pump in. We'll be heading out here in a minute to go to our other property to pick the pump up. And the reason for that is if we had it shipped to our other property, we get it today. If we had it shipped here, we wouldn't get it till tomorrow. The weird thing, or the odd thing about that is where the pump was is closer to here than it was. We could have shipped it here and probably saved some money, but we want water back in our house, so we're gonna go pick the pump up at the other property. Well, we got the pump in, but it's the wrong pump. It will still work, but the one that was on it was a 2-wire. This one is a 3-wire, which means I got to rewire it. I got new wire ran down through there. So instead of 2 wires, we need 3 plus a ground, and it comes with the conjunction box that's in this box. Basically, all that is a capacitor and your relay inside there, or the 2-wire that was built into the pump. Let's get to putting this thing on. Alright, got the pump wired up on it. Right there's my watertight connections. That's some heat shrink tubing with sealant in it. So when you heat it, it squishes out the adhesive on each end of the heat shrink tubing, and that's when you know to stop heating it. And then it's wrapped with rubber tape and then electrical tape over top of that, and then it's run down all the way down the pipe coming out the other end. And right here, when we go to put this down into the well hole, if we're not careful, we're gonna break it right here. This is where it broke before. And I don't really trust this fitting, but we're gonna see what happens. But before we set it down in there, I'm gonna run a camera down in there just to see what it looks like down in there. I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, so we about to reach the end of the video footage here. We ended up getting the camera stuck in the well, but for some reason, I don't know if the camera stopped working when it got stuck or if it stopped working before it got stuck and it just blacked out as we were going on down. But when we pulled the camera out, the camera was still working. But we didn't get any video footage of putting the well pump in or anything like that. But if you'll watch till the end, you can see the final install. Well, here's the finished product. Put the spigot outside the well house. Remember I told you later it used to be in here. But you'd have to get in here and reach right here and turn it on and all that. But there's the new tank installed. Got pipe wrap going around. Pressure switch. That's a 30-50 pressure switch. But I adjusted it to where it is running at 40-60. 30-50 to me was just not enough pressure. We cranked it up there to about 60 and it's a whole lot better. But if I turn the water on, you watch that gauge, it'll drop to 40 and then the pump will kick on. When it gets to 40 psi, the pump will kick on. You'll hear it click. Right there it came on. I'm turning the water back off. It'll build up to about 64, but then when it kicks off, it settles back to about 60. You give it a few minutes and it'll settle back to about 60. But that's the heat tape wrapped up, run to right there. I'm gonna insulate this with the pipe wrap stuff. I already insulated it over here. You can see it outside the well, and it's heat taped under the ground to about right here. But here's the control box. I hung it up on the wall, and so far it's working great. And now I got this big mess to clean up. Ladders, tools, wires, 2x4s, bricks.